What's up, everyone? This is the Fraser LeVay podcast with a breaking emergency podcast we had to do because of what might be the biggest trade in sports history. I woke up this morning at 7 a.m., 5 a.m. Pacific time to 500 texts across multiple group chats, which instant panic. Like, did someone die? Did one of my nudes get leaked onto the internet? What's going on? It was something. Then I opened up, which was even more shocking, was Luka got traded to the Lakers. What? Let's get into it. Grades, everything. But first, starting off, is this the biggest trade in sports history? And if Luka continues on the trend that he has, yes. I quickly Googled it. Number one, they've got lots of different options, but Garnett and Ray Allen in separate deals to the Celtics. They're kind of at the end of their careers. Also, they're two separate deals, not just one. So, yes, they won the championship with that trade, but no chance. That's not near, that they're what, mid 30s when they got traded. Second, Alex Rodriguez to the Yankees. No one cares about baseball, but still a big trade. Also, Robinson Cano was in that trade randomly, but a very young one. But anyways, it's baseball. That's a great trade, though. Another one they have is Mahomes being traded. But again, no one knew Mahomes was Mahomes at that time. So I guess this is the biggest trade at that time in sports history. Because you could also say the SGA trade with Paul George is also a giant trade, but you didn't know it at the time. The next best one is Pau Gasol to the Lakers. Imagine Pau Gasol, also slightly aging. How old was he at the time? He was, I want to say he was 30 plus when he got traded. But Pau Gasol to the Lakers is the biggest trade in NBA history. Because you can't, again, we're not counting the Celtics one because they're two separate ones. That is insane. Luka versus Pau Gasol. Next, Eli for Phillip Rivers on draft night. I mean, whatever. Big trade. Randy Moss to the Patriots. That's nice. But again, it wasn't like, it was still unreal Randy Moss, but he had 1 to 3 years left at a high level. Luka has 10 years left at a high level. Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. Shaq to the Heat. Shaq was like 50 years old when he got traded to the Heat. Yes, they won a championship with him. But yeah, he was at the end of his career. So if we're looking at it, these trades are absolutely god awful. Carmelo to the Knicks. Imagine Carmelo next to Luka. So that's enough of that. I think this is the biggest trade in sports history. And not only that, let's hand out some grades. An A plus for the Lakers, an F for the Mavericks. This is insane. Why? We're going to get into why it is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't know. Someone says the biggest trade and the craziest trade and maybe the worst trade. Maybe not the worst. I didn't say this, everyone. The internet did. With Brittany Griner for the world's biggest arm trafficker. But, I guess that might get me banned on this podcast. Regardless, the craziest part about this trade is that the Mavs approached the Lakers. Like, there was no Lakers stories that maybe, the Lakers had massage stories of the Mavs owner. There was nothing. Like, the Mavs literally went to a team in their own conference and was like, hey, can we trade away the third biggest asset in the league, if not number 2 behind Wemby? Is absolutely crazy. I've been saying for years, since like year 2, that Luka is the next LeBron. Of course, LeBron is one of one. Luka is nowhere near the defensive player or the athlete that LeBron is, but LeBron is nowhere near the shooter that Luka is. They both pass. They both see the court incredibly. The mental game, Luka still has 10 more years to develop. Obviously, LeBron's mental game is next level, but Luka truly could go down. He will go down as a top 10 player in NBA history, and he has the tools to be top 5, especially as we'll get to this podcast, conditioning, all else. But how do you approach the Lakers saying, hey, we want to get rid of Luka in your own conference, and like you don't shop him around? I I just is mind blowing. You don't shop like Mikal Bridges got 5 first rounders. Rudy Gobert got 17,000 first rounders. Luka goes for Anthony Davis. The age alone, Anthony Davis turns 33 next month. And it is an old 33. That dude's body is broken down. Here's the number of games he's played going backwards in seasons: 76, 54, 40, 36, 62, 56. There's 82 games in a season for people who don't know. This guy has played half a season or 2/3 of a season at 1, 2, 3, 6 out of the last 6 years. He cannot play. Sure, he's having a great season this year, but again, he's 32, 33, and you just traded him away for the third best asset, arguably fourth in the league. Again, it's its own podcast. Wemby is number one. You can take your pick. You either take SGA, Luka, or the Joker. Joker's a little bit older, so that's why he is probably number two. But wow, it's a superstar league. You just don't trade away guys like this. Let alone, like I said, for a 33-year-old Anthony Davis, who I don't know, they've got what, a 1 to 2 year shelf life now. Let's get into the Mavs. Okay, I don't think they're better whatsoever. They just went to the NBA Finals last year with Luka willing them to go to the NBA Finals. So now you've traded to win now? Because what? Like, no, Anthony Davis, with Luka, you have a top tier shelf life. Now with AD, you've got a second tier. Still like a nice team. Still might make a playoff run. Who knows if they gel right away? So now by the time they gel, we're talking he's 33 and Kyrie will be 34 next year. This year they maybe lightning in a bottle. They gel perfect, but most likely not. So now we're talking they're 33 and 34 by the time they're going for a championship. Who knows Kyrie's mental side? He's going to last. It's just the shelf life of this team is 1 to 2 years, and now you're telling me that they're taking a year to gel. So now it's 1 year of like a real-ish conference finals run at best, when your team just went to the finals, and the Mavs only lost to like the best team put together since the Super Team Warriors with Durant, Steph. Like literally that Celtics team is the best team we've seen in 20 years outside of that one team, maybe 30. Since probably Shaq, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Spurs. That team was unreal. And he just lost to that. He rolled the Timberwolves, the Clippers. I guess that's not saying much. OKC is a lot better this year, but still. And he did it with Kyrie, which Kyrie did do really well in the playoffs and look nice, but absolute insanity how you trade away this cornerstone of a franchise. And back to the ages, Luka's 25. AD is 32. How? Like, it's not even close. Luka gives the Lakers a 10-year shelf life. And how you trade him to the Lakers, who it's a major franchise who's just going to build around him. And now you're going to be second fiddle, third fiddle, fourth fiddle, sixth fiddle. You're never going to be better than the Lakers for the next 10 years, Mavericks. Like, you literally traded him in your conference to never be better than them for as long as he lives. So I just don't understand that whatsoever. And let's get into like the reasoning that the Mavs traded away. This is from the owner, GM, whatever. First, there was a big quote they had about defense wins championships. Again, you just went to the finals without defense. On top of that, if you think defense wins championships, don't trade for Kyrie. Don't trade for a 50-year-old Klay Thompson. Trade for defensive pieces around Luka. Like, this is Giannis can't shoot 3-pointers. So it's a 3-point shooting league. You surround him with 3-point shooters. It's just mind-boggling that, okay, defense doesn't win championships. It can. Just put defense around the guy. The guy is goes God mode in the playoffs. That's the other thing. It's not like he's some like, oh, he puts in a lot of points in the regular season, like as if he's Kevin Love that just puts up stats. He absolutely turns into the most electric player you've ever seen in the playoffs, and you're just trading him away. Second, they said they're motivated to get rid of him because of his constant conditioning concerns. Well, his conditioning has been fine enough to get 5 first team All Stars in his first seasons in the league. It's been fine to will his team to the NBA Finals and absolutely destroy other teams prior to that in the playoffs all by himself when he didn't have Kyrie. They've had significant frustration with his diet and conditioning. It's just he's 25 years old. What even Anthony Edwards just said on Starting Five that he just eats candy, doesn't give a shit about his body, he doesn't work out a ton, he just hoops. All he cares about is hooping, and that's how he stays in shape. And this is what you expect from people under 25. We're all there. And you know what? They're the best 5 players in the league without caring about their bodies. So why would you care? If you're 22, 23, 24 and you're the best player in the league or top 5 and you don't have to worry about eating perfect and you can just eat any food you want because you've got a good metabolism. Remember you're 23, 24, 25. Remember those days you could eat whatever you wanted and just still look great? I was playing soccer at a decent high level eating Wendy's pregame. We're idiots at that age. In college, I was eating Wendy's Junior's bacon cheeseburgers, 2 for $3.99 or whatever they were. The greatest deal on the planet. Fuck you, Wendy's, for getting rid of that. Well, that's a whole different podcast as well. Also, Canadian Wendy's. American Wendy's sucks. Canadian Wendy's is way better. One of the few food things that is better in Canada is Canadian Wendy's. Anyways, yeah, you're under 25. You're eating whatever you want. And I mean, again, I'm not comparing myself to these athletes. I wasn't even like, good. These are the best players in the world. And they're like, I can eat whatever I want. And I'm still the best player in the world or one of the top 5 players in the world. Anthony Edwards is the best athlete in the world. And he eats whatever he wants. You think he cares about, oh, yeah, if I only start eating leaner meats and more vegetables? No. I'm sure he will at age 28, 29 after maybe losing a few times in the playoffs. We saw this with Kobe. We saw this with LeBron. Once, and even I'm sure Jordan wasn't winning until I think he was 27. And I'm sure as we all do, we get smarter with our bodies. We start caring more. There's the story about LeBron, who he saw Kobe at the Olympics just being an absolute super athlete, super hard worker, waking up at 5 a.m., outworking everyone else. That's what propelled him to take the next step. I always tell this when I talk with kids is like, you can be the best. Like you'll see these kids who are really good out there playing. They can be really, really good, and they're better than all the other kids. So do you want to be really, really good than all these other rec players or these kids at camp? Or do you want to be one of the best players in the state, in the country, in the world? Then you have to work even harder. Sure, you can beat these kids, but you want to go to the top level and beat everyone. You need to be working out every day. You need to be eating well, all these things. But anyways, they will learn that. Also, now your Luka is next to one of the hardest conditioned. I assume he has to be the best conditioned person and like the number one person for taking care of his body in the entire world. Him, Brady, and I'm sure a few others. Kobe did the same. But now he's next to LeBron, who spends $1 million, whatever it is, taking care of his body. And he's going to learn from that. Again, he's only 25. So he's next to a guy who's going to show him the importance of caring about his body. It's going to be incredible. We're going to see, I think, a large transformation on that end. But it's hilarious. You trade away a top 3 player in the league because of conditioning. Is again straight across talent, 80 for Luka, dumb. Age, 80 for Luka, dumb. Health, 80 for Luka, dumb. In conference, trading away a top 3 player in the world, dumb. It's just across the board the worst trade I've ever seen. The biggest trade. And not only is it could have gone down easily as the biggest worst trade we've ever seen, but it's also the biggest trade in sports history we've ever seen. Get into also Europe. This is not the business of sports isn't talked about enough. Maybe it is. I don't know. I just made that up. Um, but I've always loved like the Mavs back when Mark Cuban was the owner. I loved when they brought in Luca, and then I think they had was it Porzingis? I think it was Porzingis, right? Yeah. And he was going after that European dollar. He saw it with Houston when Yao Ming came in. When T Mac was playing with Yao Ming, Yao had the highest jersey sales, and Tracy McGrady had the second highest jersey sales in the league, just purely from the Asian market. It's a global game. Everyone in Europe watches the Mavs games, even more so. He's now on the Lakers. There's so much money to be made in just having an Asian star, a European star alone. So that by itself is just a huge business move. We're seeing it with Shohei Ohtani. I think we should see it with college football. I mean, if I don't know why Joe Burrow's on my mind, but if a Joe Burrow or if Patrick Mahomes was even, if we knew who Patrick Mahomes was in college, even though we did, some of us that went to Texas Tech, we didn't know he'd be this good. But if a college football player is out there on the market, you pay $25 million for him, because for him to change schools from, let's say, LSU to Alabama or wherever, because you're going to make so much more money that next year going to playoff games, national championship games, endorsement deals, TV right. Like there's just this business now of pay players because you're going to get all this money through the back end, which is a great side part to what the Lakers are getting here. Also, another reason it's terrible, just the post LeBron era. I mean, I guess I mentioned it, but the Lakers are now set for 10 plus years. The Mavs are looking okay for 1.5, 2.5 years. It doesn't make sense for right now. The Mavs GM or whoever it was said they want to win now. Again, you just went to the finals last year. You only lost because it was a super team. It's baffling. The Lakers, they're a great opt-out team now for teams who just, a guy wants to opt out, go to the Lakers. Before it was a little murky because, I mean, they're 8th, 9th. There's just, LeBron kind of would axe your head off if you weren't playing good, it seemed like. Where now you're with Luka. And yeah, let's get into this team. People say the Lakers need a big man. I guess you could maybe I would just get a cheap, serviceable big man, but you don't need a big man in the NBA right now. The only guy in the West you have to worry about on the large size is the Joker, which LeBron can maybe, for a series, D him up. I think that'd be great. Now he doesn't have that offensive load he needs to carry. Throw LeBron on Joker. Luka carries offensive load. LeBron can pass and, still do offensive stuff, but he cares about winning. He's an ultimate winner. He's just going to D up Joker. I think that makes tons of sense. Him, Rui can mix in there as well. So Joker's really the only big man. I mean, you've got Hartenstein and Chet in OKC, which I think LeBron can handle-ish. Chet, Rui can handle-ish. Hartenstein. It's not like they're major scores, so I think they're fine there. And that's it in the West. Then you go to the East. There's no big man on the Celtics you need to guard. There's no big man on the Knicks. Towns, LeBron can take care of Towns. Towns doesn't play like a big man. The only team that is moderately scary from a big man side is maybe Cleveland, because Mobley puts up points. And then you've also got, I don't know, his name's escaping me, but they're other big men. So, yeah. Oh, Jared Allen. So you've really only got Cleveland. That's really a scary big man. Oh, Rudy in Minnesota, he's not an offensive player, so you're not worried about Rudy. There's not one offensive big man outside of Joker and maybe the Cavs and a little bit, tiny bit of the on OKC. But yeah, from rebounding, they can get it done. I think they reverse Uno it, or if you're Trump, reverse one it, and you just go small. Aside from Joker, I guess even with the Nuggets, you can go small because now everyone's going to be scared of you. No, they shouldn't be scared about, other people's big men. Other people are scared of their still big men, but small men, I guess. Like, I'm much more nervous about LeBron and Luca than fucking Mobley and Jared Allen. Like, what are we doing here? So I think they can just go small. and terrify people. And the Warriors, they went small. When have they had a legit big man? They've had Draymond. That's it. So I don't know. The Lakers. I also read something on Sports Illustrated of all places. The writer, whoever this guy was like, it's going to take a while for the Lakers to gel. So I'm a little worried about that. Blah blah. Are you kidding me? LeBron playing with LeBron and Joker has to be all time. I'm sure there's others, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Magic, where they can literally play and adapt with anyone. Like I'm Tom Brady. I'm not have zero concerns about them absolutely just flicking a switch right now. There's no learning to play Luca. He dribbles the ball, shoots the lights out. You know he can't play great defense. Play defense under him. He doesn't have to play defense, really. Now you've got LeBron next to him. It's just insanity. The Lakers now, they barely gave anything up. So, I mean, they've still got first round picks that they can use later. They're set for the next 10 plus years. People are going to want to come there again because now, LeBron isn't just cutting people's heads off. They have a for sure team. I would assume LeBron now stays around for like maybe the rest of his career. Because before it was a little iffy. Now you've got a legit superstar. We always forget LeBron is playing at a superstar level right now. Like he's a legit all-star, top half of the Western all-stars, which is insanity at age 40. So he still has one more year of that, barring injury, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 years of just being a role player. I forget how old Karl Malone was when he went to the Lakers. I think he was maybe 37, 38. LeBron can do that and better for like 5 years. And who better to do under than Luka? And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of players opting out or taking cheaper contracts to come that way. So it's just an A plus for the Lakers. And again, this trade, maybe to put a cap on it, but why do you not shop Luka Doncic? What did the Lakers? Again, if the Lakers approached them, I would be like, okay, the Lakers had like nudes of the owner or massage table stories or something. But the Mavs approached the Lakers, and why do you? I think because of the salary cap, you have to trade a major star or a major contract and star, I guess, for Luka. So there's only so many teams that would be willing to part with a max contract, but you still shop it, don't you? Like, it's insane. Like, you could have maybe gone to the Warriors and traded Wiggins purely for contracts. I know I love Wiggins. Obviously, he's nowhere near Luka and probably AD. But you trade him for Wiggins in like 1,000 draft picks. I don't know. I guess that doesn't make sense because then those draft picks probably won't be worth anything because Luka will take their team for quite some time. So I guess you couldn't really trade for draft picks because you would think that Luka will keep your team in the top 5 for 10 plus years. So they needed a legit star back. I just don't think you take a 32, 33-year-old star as who's played, again, let me repeat these numbers. 76 games last year. He's playing actually a good number of games this year. 54 before that, 40, 36, 62, 56. The guy does not play. And he's an old 32. So, but I beat that to death. Going through my notes, I just, the Lakers matter again. Right now, I mean, they're doing pretty good, right? They're, I want to say, fourth in the league or fourth in the West, but I think it's a little bit fool's gold. Yeah, they're fourth. First in their little conference. Fifth. They're fifth right now. I also think it's a little bit fool's gold because all like the advanced metrics, they're really getting beaten down by the top 6 to 8 teams in the West. Like they have a losing record against everyone who's kind of a good team. So I think they would have been okay in the playoffs, but they weren't. They keep on getting beat by Denver. Nothing's changing there. Who knows, the health of AD and LeBron for the season will hold up a second year in a row. And last year they had the best season they could have imagined from LeBron and AD and didn't make it out of the first round. So it's like two years in a row. I mean, they literally had the greatest. If I told you, hey, Lakers, LeBron and AD are going to play over 75 games, LeBron's going to play at some ridiculous level where he might need to get drug tested. Even in the playoffs, he had like a 20-second spurt. I don't know if you remember this, but in the first round, that was the greatest 20-second spurt of sports I've ever watched, and he's 40 years old. But if I told you all that and they still were just irrelevant, something needed to change. And now they went and just got gifted a top 3 player in the NBA, for sure top 4. I guess, yeah, for sure top 3, because Wemby isn't there if you want to win right now. You would take Luka for just this year, maybe next. But Wemby, obviously, all time is the number 1 asset. Joker's number 2, but you can argue in SGA or Luka is number 2 as we talk, or sorry, as time goes by, because Joker's getting a little bit older. Anyways, wow. What a way to wake up. I'm glad no one died. When I woke up to all these texts, I was going through my notes to make sure, yeah, we hit it all. Crazy. 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 Thanks for listening. I'll have more on my YouTube channel. Check that out for faneverland.com. If I have time, I'll try and write an article about this as well. See you later.